A politician with integrity. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rant Network. My name's Stuart Briscoe. That's David Solomon, who almost threw up in front of me, where we bring you unfiltered, uncensored conversation on a wide range of topics. This podcast gives a platform to express, share thoughts, experiences, ideas, and hear from a variety of perspectives. Bottom line, an honest perspective. Something that a politician seems to not know. But then again, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy because David is going to try and set this conversation straight because he thinks that he can. But I'd like to tell you guys, when you think about politicians and you think about politicians as of late who have done things that have just challenged our democracy. They're thieves. They're crooks. What are they? They lack moral. But you know what, guys? This guy, Bob Menendez in the United States, seems to be near bulletproof because this is the first time he's been accused. But then again, being accused or being convicted. David, what do you got to say?
Well, okay, so the whole point of this rant was just to compare two scandals that are happening simultaneously.
Yep.
In the United States, Bob Menendez, the senator, was indicted on Friday. And, if you are going to say innocent until proven guilty, let's call it that, which apparently in the United States, it depends on your political affiliation if whether or not you get that. He's been caught with the fact that there was almost $500,000 in stuffed envelopes hidden in closets in a safe.
Jack.
And there are accusations of bribery again. And of course, Bob Menendez says, first of all, it's racism that has to do with this prosecution, which is kind of funny coming from a Democrat because Democrats love to scream racism. And even AOC said, she called the bluff. She called the bluff. She says, no. There's no racism here, buddy. Your hand was in the cookie jar. We caught you. Resign. And for once, I agree with AOC. I hate to say it, I agree with AOC. And there are a bunch of other Democrats. Even MSNBC, which should change its name to MS I Love the Democratic Party, is in favor of Menendez stepping down. The reason behind that is not for altruism and not because it's the right thing to do, but that it will impact other senators running for election in November 2024, that the Democratic Party doesn't hold its own to that standard. And this is an interesting dichotomy here of how the party is going to treat itself. Now, interestingly enough, the Biden administration is quiet, silent. They're not saying anything. Surprise. You know why? Because if you start to go after Bob Menendez, then there's Hunter, which we are not going to get into today because that's a whole other scandal. But just to show you that Bob Menendez is going to sit there and fight to his death, accuse the other side of racism, everybody with racism, blah, blah, blah. He did nothing. He is clean. Let's compare, shall we? Well, that's not the same thing, but let's talk about a scandal. On Friday, the Canadian Parliament had Vladimir Zelensky in. Right after he left the United Nations, he came to Canada to give a speech. And while I'm not a big fan of Zelensky and I find him playing the politics really, really well, and he's convinced the West in some ways that he is a martyr, he comes to the Canadian Parliament. And the Speaker of the House, who doesn't have the same power as a McCarthy or a Pelosi, let's just be clear, the Canadian Speaker is not like that. But the Canadian Speaker had someone in his writing who was Ukrainian, a 98-year-old war veteran. And they said, you know what? What a great opportunity. Zelensky's coming. Let's bring Yaroslav Hunka and we'll declare him not only a Ukrainian hero, but a Canadian war hero. And members of parliament on both sides of the aisle, without knowing his background, stood up, applauded him as a war hero. It took 5 minutes of research to find out that Yaroslav Hunka is a Nazi.
Yep.
Okay? He was publicly identified as having served in the 1st Ukrainian Division, also known as the Waffen-SS Galicia Division, or the SS 14th Waffen Division, which was a voluntary unit under the command of the Nazis. He basically killed Jews. And here's Vladimir Zelensky and other members of parliament standing up there with my friend Justin Trudeau, Rotting. Since Sunday, the Liberal Party of Canada, which is the party in power, has come down hard on Rhoda, his own party, to resign as Speaker of the House, let alone the Conservatives, the NDP, and the Bloc Québécois, all the opposition parties. Rhoda yesterday stepped down. But Justin Trudeau, who is as much to blame as anybody else, is blaming Russian misinformation on this. He is blaming and pointing the fingers at others, and he's been in hiding since he didn't come to Parliament, which he's supposed to do. He hasn't shown his face, and he has done nothing but offer sketchy remarks. Stuart, it's an interesting comparison in how two countries, two democracies, handle scandals. I don't think that Rhoda, his scandal was stupidity.
Listen,
Menendez is stealing.
Listen.
Interesting how our two governments handle things.
Listen, I'm going to be brutally honest. Not that I've ever been anything but. When a politician's lips move, they're spewing shit. They're taking a buzz spinet, and they're spinning it so you hear what you want to hear. I don't agree with abortion. Right? That's what someone hears. They don't hear why and how this argument came up. They don't hear, I believe in abortion. They hear the toxic spew that goes with these comments. Politicians that have cash and gold. Let me tell you something. I'm in business. If I had that much cash and gold, the IRS would take me away. They'd empty my bank accounts. But because he's a politician, and because he's a Democrat politician, the rules for thee are not the same for me.
Well, he has been indicted. Let's be realistic. He's been indicted.
He's indicted. But he's been indicted before.
Process.
He's been indicted before.
Okay. So the judge, so the case against him sucked.
The case against him sucked, or was the case against him just set up to suck? You know, a prosecutor is only as good as they want to be, not what they have to.
Well,
no.
I'm going to challenge you on that, Stuart, because maybe Bob Menendez, got away with the last one, but this time around, I'm not sure. Based on what I'm seeing, based on what I've been reading, when your own party is throwing you under the bus, when others are trying to throw you out, when they prefer John Fetterman's clothing change over Bob Menendez's, innocence, like you gotta wonder why isn't even Nancy Pelosi, the great Nancy Pelosi, who sat with Jen Psaki on MSNBC, is saying he's got to step down.
David, yes, I agree. There's lots of people that are speaking up, but at the end of the day, they allowed this to happen. You think this is the first that they hear about this? They know about this? I mean, I thought government's supposed to know. I mean, this is this dirty little secret, and he got caught with musical chairs and was told, you're the guy who's going to take it. Nixon left office for a scandal called Watergate.
Because he got caught.
Bill Clinton didn't leave. He got caught in a raging. Bill, we're not talking Hillary. Bill, he got caught in a raging cigar problem.
He was. So what? That doesn't make a difference.
Exactly. It doesn't make a difference. So Menendez.
No. Hold on. There's a difference between. I mean, he lied. I mean, Bill Clinton lied, got caught, and got through the process, which the United States process is the way it is. My question here is, Stuart, you have a crime. This is a real crime. They're blaming Donald Trump, or they're accusing Donald Trump and indicting Donald Trump of all of these things, and he has to go to jail. And Nancy Pelosi already can't wait for him to be dressed in an orange suit, which will match his hair, as she likes to say. But Bob Menendez, who was also caught, this is a crime, a real crime. And this is an indictable crime. And so the question is, will Menendez, but the point of this rant is to show you the difference in accountability is.
Right.
Bob Menendez will go to his grave.
So I'm not finished. So let me just sort of loop around. I was trying to get there.
Go ahead.
But you see, Menendez, who's now dominating the press all over, we now have all forgotten what are the accusations looming for the Biden clan: money, racketeering, gun charges, drug charges, yet they can barely get an indictment. So, how is the justice swift for Menendez, but not for Biden? Why is it swift for Trump, but not for Biden? Why are there rules for some, but not others? The law is supposed to be blind justice. They
But
didn't say
okay, but
that they have a blue colored visor or red, knowing which way they have to lean.
but so this goes just to show you the difference between our two democracies. Okay, your democracy, people are going to fight to the death of their innocence. You see the finger pointing, Menendez, which I called Mendez. It's Menendez. Thank you. Like I said, a racism. Every time someone's accused of something, somebody's screaming. Trump screamed. Hillary screamed. Menendez screamed. Pelosi screamed. They all screamed. But what's interesting, Stuart, is that there is zero accountability for one's actions. The money trail.
Campaign promises.
Stuart, no, there's no doubt. But I'm saying, look at the money trail. It always comes back to, in so many of your scandals, to the money trail. And here in Canada, we have an idiot speaker, an idiot prime minister who didn't vet. I mean, what? The man came to Parliament. He sat in the House of Commons in the gallery. Nobody vetted him. Nobody checked his background.
Can I ask you a stupid question? Did any other Nazis ever sit in the Canadian Parliament in history?
Stuart, that's not the point.
It's not the first time.
No. Yeah. I'm sure others have, but I'm saying in 2023, when we have this really cool thing called the internet, when you go and you look up someone's background, which is totally public record. I mean, the journalist who found the story took seconds to find out that the guy was a Nazi. No one in Rhoda's office, the Speaker's of the House office, nobody. The Prime Minister's office, nobody checked. They said he's Ukrainian. It's good enough. If you know half a story about the war in Ukrainians in World War II, they were as bad as the Nazis. If you know anything about World War II, but they decided that ignorance is bliss and they got caught. So for something, in my opinion, while this is really racism, because we're talking about a real Nazi here, Bob Menendez is screaming racism to deflect, because that's the Democratic way of doing. Every time somebody accuses you of something, you need to find some way to deflect it. And he's using racism that he got caught with $500,000 worth of crap. It just shows you the difference in accountability. I wish my prime minister here would resign for all of his idiot scandals. But he won't, because his accountability is zero. Everybody else is the fall guy. And in the U.S., if I'm Joe Biden, I'm putting pressure on Menendez to resign, because I don't want this to come back to Hunter.
David, but, if you were Biden, you wouldn't have to wear sneakers, and you would know what you should do.
All right. You're going off the topic here. That's good.
David, I'm going to wrap it up.
Yeah, please do, because you seem to today. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it just before Stuart wraps it up, it just shows you. I know a lot of people like to mock Canada. We're mockable. But Rhoda resigned. Menendez is going to fight it the way Americans like to fight it. I'm going to take me to court, force me out of my seat.
You know what? He wants to be a martyr. That's all for today's episode.
Why the American empire's falling.
Thanks for tuning in and listening. We hope you've enjoyed and gained some valuable insight. And I did remain on topic. But I also want to put a message out there so that all you are aware, someone or a group of an organization has been efforting to try and get us kicked off of Facebook, because they find our rants are one of the following: too normal, not democratic, and doesn't support the candidate that they may want. So I wish you all a wonderful day. Remember, if you don't see us here on Wednesday or Monday or Friday, then PM us, because we may have been taken out on Facebook yet again. Enjoy, guys.
No. Folks, you keep supporting us. They won't take us down.